was, and this is now hidden from menus. The next thing that's quite important to show you is how do you link between the pages. So let's say we've got a link on the home page. Let's say we want to add a link to the home page from this text here, so that it links to the new page that we've created, page number 69. So firstly, you remember 69. You go to the home page, and we want to make this the link. So all we do is click on the link. Now what you do is, in this link URL, if you click this button here, it lets you select an image. So if you wanted to link to the images that we'd already had, you could link to an image, but we want to link to the page we've created, number 69. Now to do that, there's a little tag that we can use, and that is open square bracket, the curly thing. This is above the hash on the keyboard, and then the page number. So we want 69, and then you close it. So it's quite a short little bit, and then if you insert that and then we save, the content management system automatically works out where that links to. So if we click on this, it takes you to my page. Now this is a much better way of doing linkages rather than copying the URL up here, because the other way we could do it is by copying, say, this URL, going into here and pasting it into here. This isn't as good because if link names, if page names and stuff change, then links are broken, will break. So if you can, always use this method for internal linking. So let's update it so there's no link. I need to save. There we go. So the important thing with all this is to make sure that you're creating pages in a system that people recognize. I mean, it's quite easy for you to create new pages and change stuff along the way. Like all the pages work in a very similar way, where you have that edit box in order to edit. Something I haven't shown you actually is, let's say on this my page created. Let's not hide it from the menus for now. Let's say you wanted to import an image. Similarly to the other way I showed you, if you click on this, you can link to images. So images in here. So we're going to link to that. The important thing, I keep saying the important thing, but something that you need to do is always put in the image title and the image description. Now these can be keyword rich content, you see, so you always want to put words in here that relate to the image and relate to the page that the image is going to be on. So I might want to type in and into both of these, and insert that image. And then if I save it, you'll see that again on here, if we go to my page, you have the image in the page. Now if we view the source here, you will notice that alt is weight and title is weight. So this is what the search engines will see, and these are keywords associated with the image. So let's delete this page. The next thing to look at is that I've made other elements of the page customizable, so you can change these bottom links and you can change these links, and you can change pretty much everything, including these here. So the way I've set it up is that these reused bits and pieces folder, this is hidden from the navigation, and these are essentially pages that are the page content gets picked up and used elsewhere on the site. So these equipment for sale, Sunbed hire and New Year offer, you can find all of these within the foot icons. No, not within the foot icons. Images under navigation. Okay, so you'll see that these three are the same in order as what are up here. So if you wanted to add a new one, let's say we want to copy this and have 4 and then save, you'll notice that when we reload the page, you've now got a 4th item, and the page dynamically rescales in order to cater for it. Something else you're going to want to do is when you click on an image, you can edit the links. So at the moment this has got a link on it, so if we delinked it, you go to click on it and relink it. That would change what page it links to in the same way that a normal link happens. Similarly, all this content down the bottom is all available in this reuse bits and pieces folder. So I showed you before the images, but I've used this for that same purpose. So if we go to far left links, you can see all these links, and if you click on each one, you can see where it links to. These are all dynamic references. So if you wanted to add more things in, all you do is add them here. There are some pages on the site that aren't within the navigation, and these are the other pages. These are things that you can only get to via the sitemap, or I think some in here in the bottom as well. So Sunbed Hire, these are all your affiliate links and things like this. Now you might be wondering what this little Elements tab is here. Now the way Modx works is it's quite a robust content management system in the way that it handles the page structure, but you can have elements of coding alongside it to expand its functionality. Is how I add this pricing option able to work on this page. But essentially, you're never going to need to go into Elements unless you're doing any of the coding stuff, which unless you're an advanced Modx user, you're just really not going to want to do. So ignore this section for all intents and purposes. The only thing you might want to do is if you click on Merchant ID here, and then go and then change this number, because this is the default merchant ID that will be used with new products and stuff that are added. But I really can't see you needing to change anything else. The next thing to be cautious of is that in these folders, assets, connectors, core, these are all important files to the content management system. So if you're going into this section, don't change all these. Ideally, if you're adding new things, you want to add them into product, image categories, IMG images, files, and you want to make sure that you're always putting them in here, or you'll create a new folder and putting stuff in there, so you're not getting confused on your content. What I wouldn't do is leave everything in the root files directory, because otherwise this is going to get quite long and you're going to lose track of what you've got on your site. The next thing is to give you a quick overview of the settings on the system. So if you go to system settings, again, this is something that you're probably not going to need to change really, but it's useful to know it's here should you need it in the future. These are the global Modx settings, so you can go into here and change pretty much everything in terms of the settings of Modx, and there you see there's 163 different settings. There's things like what's displayed to people when they sign up, should you enable multiple user sign-ups. You've got failed login attempts for if you're trying to log in, how long they have to wait. The thing is, this is the admin email address, so this I will change to your email address once it's all set up. And various bits and pieces. Again, only go in here if there's something you really know you need to change, because it's not worth messing anything up. Package management, this is just where we install sort of other snippets and coding bits and bobs, and you're not going to need to know much about this. Users, this is handy. I'm not going to go over it in the tutorial, but you can actually add new users to the site, and then you can define their permissions. So let's say I've created blog functionality in this, and to add an item to the blog, you added a page with fitness packages. I'm able to set permissions, so say a user may only have access to fitness pages, and they can't see elements and files. So from my perspective, I could have disabled it so you can't see elements and see this coding bit, but I don't see the sense in looking it down unnecessarily. There is a lot of support for Modx, both a user and a development perspective, so the forums and the wiki can be really good places to go if you have any questions that you really don't know the answer to, or let's say you wanted to learn Modx in a little bit more detail. These are the sort of the resources that you can go to get that. Bugs, this is just say you have an issue with the system, something you think is a software bug, you report it here. API documentation, that is for the programmer. So let's say you've created a great deal of pages, and this tree structure gets quite big. Let's say you've created a blog and you've got loads and loads of stuff. If you go to site, there's actually a search function here. Now what this lets you do is search for content within your site. Next thing is what I haven't shown you actually, which I probably should have shown you at the beginning, is you can also create a symlink. Now this is really useful when you're taking into account the URL aliases. And all you do is you go new symlink, and this is a fake page that is essentially a link to another page. So on your current site, Affordable Gym Hire, you'll notice we've got pages called hire.html and all this sort of stuff, and we want to make sure that these links stay persistent. So we're going to have to do this with symlinks. So let's say we want to create a symlink, and the home page at the moment, equipment for hire, is currently hire.html. We want to make sure that link is always the same. So the way we would do that is hire. We'd create a page hire with all the menus, structure and stuff like this, hide it from the menus, make sure the resource alias is hire. And if we save this and publish it, hire's there, number 70. Once the site is active, if we were to type in hire.html here, it would take you to the page. Now, unfortunately, URL rewriting currently isn't enabled, so you can't see that. But what you will see is if I take this, number 70, it will take you to the equipment for hire page. So if I change this to 70, you notice I'm on the equipment for hire page. Sorry, that was actually incorrect. With a symlink, you actually need to specify the symlink. So we want to link to page 70. Sorry about that, I was actually wrong in saying that. What you want to create is not a symlink, you want to create a web link. Click the wrong button there. So all you do is you set the title, you set the alias to whatever you may want it to be, and then in the web link you put this code in that I showed you earlier for the link, and you want to link to page 50. And this will link to the equipment for hire page. So if one was to type in /, so if we publish it, sorry, so 72 will now link to equipment for hire. So if you go to home, special offers, and change this to 72, you'll see it takes me to equipment for hire. If I'd set this, the resource alias, to hire.html would now link to the page, so the link isn't broken, which is beneficial for your SEO if you've built links to that page and page rank to the page that you don't necessarily want to lose. And that's it. That's a strong general overview of how to use the content management system in the context of this site. If you've watched this video and you're wondering, okay, well, I've put a video for someone else's site online, it's basically to demo how a working site can be created using Modx Revolution and the way that you may want to construct a site and the way that the user can use it. I always like to try and keep what the user is doing within this resources structure without having to deal with elements. So if you would like a Modx Revolution developed website, then contact scorchsoft.com. We can take regular websites that are not content managed and use Modx Revolution in order to make the content managed, and it's quite a cost-effective way of making an e-commerce solution.